station of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Southeast.
From SunTrust Park in Atlanta, Georgia, once again, it's time for Braves baseball. Dansby Swanson is back after Johan Camargo got hurt last night. Hopefully the Braves can even up this series and find a way to beat the hard-charging Philadelphia Phillies. Hi again, friends. Chip, Joe, and Tom, welcome back to the ballpark. Same story for Atlanta. They dropped their 10th out of 12 head-to-head with the Philadelphia Phillies. Tonight, though, Sean Newcomb's got the ball for the Braves. And, fellas, you guys said something last night that really struck me. The interesting stat for Sean Newcomb, the biggest difference for this young man so far this year has been strike one or not strike one.
Well, it has been. Look, Sean Newcomb, by all accounts, would have been here sooner had he thrown more strikes in Gwinnett. And that's always kind of been the knock against him, his ability to be in the strike zone and be in the strike zone consistently. And that's borne itself out here at the big leagues, and it's borne itself out in terms of his success. You see there when he's ahead in the count, hitters are hitting a $182 off of him. When he's behind, it jumps up to 333. Same thing by count. 0-1 count, a $173, and 1-0 count, 329. That in and of itself tells you he has to pitch ahead in the count. In terms of the damage that's been done against him, the majority of it has been when he's behind in the count. So what's the reoccurring theme here? He has to pitch ahead in the count. It's easier said than done. You don't want a guy to think so much about getting ahead in the count that he just starts throwing fastballs down the middle, because that's not going to do him any good either. He has to get to the point where he can pitch the contact, which is bad contact, which is what young pitchers struggle to learn how to do, and then he really has to come up with a pitch, whether it's his curveball or his changeup, that he can throw behind in the count so he can get hitters off of sitting on his fastball when he's behind in the count.
And Joe, from a hitter's perspective, what do those counts mean for you?
Well, one of the things for the hitters is they just start eliminating pitches. They know that he's not getting pitch A or B over the plate. They just sit on fastball or something he is getting over, and that's when they're wearing it out, and that's when those numbers go up.
So we'll see what happens. Strike one, ball one. Will Sean Newcomb pick up a home win? Jared Eichhoff will be his mound opponent for the Phillies, who look to sweep this two-game series in Atlanta. Braves try to earn their third win against the Phillies next. The skies are clearing as we get set for game 2 of the series. Even better news, all 9 players made it across the white lines without injury tonight. So already, fellas, a moral victory. Let's see if we can get a real one for Sean Newcomb here tonight.
Sean making his 11th start on the year, 1-6 with a 4.61 ERA. Good start his last time out against the Phillies, and no decision, 5 innings, a run on 2 hits and 4 strikeouts.
And his 4 keys to pitching success, as Tom suggested, it's not about just throwing strikes, it's about quality strikes. So throw some quality strikes tonight and avoid deep counts. His last start against the Dodgers, when he walked 7 guys, he threw 110 pitches in 4 2/3 innings. Let's not do that again tonight.
Sean's 1-6 this year. He has yet to win a game at SunTrust Park. And Atlanta excited to have Dansby Swanson back in the starting lineup with Johan Camargo disabled earlier today. First pitch of the night, way off the plate, and we're underway. 76 degrees in early August in Atlanta. Thank you very much. Ground ball to third. Easy play for Brandon Phillips. There's an excellent start. There's some of that weak contact. Hernandez retired to start the game. Freddie Galvis, their shortstop, hit second. Odubel Herrera in center has killed the Braves this year. Michael Franco's the cleanup man on the Phillies Toyota starting 9. Joseph Williams, Rupp, Cameron Perkins gets the start in left field batting 8th. And Jared Eichhoff, 2-7 on the year, bats 9th. Freddie Galvis is 16 for 47 against the Braves and batting .254 for the year. 2 more hits and a run scored for Galvis last night. That's poked toward Albies at second. 2 ground ball outs. And Newcomb with 2 outs on 4 pitches. So like the way this has started tonight for the young lefty. Here's Odubel Herrera.
Yeah, pretty efficient so far. Got a fastball in for a ground ball out, and then got a head in the count and get change up away. So that's part of what he certainly has to do, is not only be in the strike zone, but maybe be a little bit less predictable with how he's trying to get into counts as well.
Speaking of killing the Braves, Odubel Herrera has done that. 6 of his 12 homers, 12 of his 43 runs batted in have come against Atlanta pitching. And his home run hit here last night was the talk of all the highlight shows. And he continues with a shot into the right field corner on the first pitch. Herrera on his way to second base. He's going to make the turn. He's going to try for 3. Albies' throw to third will be way late. And Herrera jumps on the first pitch he sees tonight and triples with 2 outs.
I would say that they're pitching him all wrong, but he's hitting everything they're throwing. Doesn't matter where it is.
No, I mean, that's, I think if you're going to go in on him, you got to go in above the hands. You certainly don't want to go in belt high like he did there, or down and in, which is danger zone for most lefties. But you're right. I mean, it doesn't seem like there's been a certain way that they're trying to attack him and just not making pitches. He's hit everything.
And he is as hot as can be. That's 12-game hitting streak for the Phillies center fielder. And he's hit safely in 16 straight against the Braves. So we got that out of the way here in the first inning. Let's see if Sean can take care of Michael Franco, the Phillies' third baseman. Chris Siegel's the home plate umpire. He'll let you know location. So that last pitch was outside for an even count.
Well, here's where his curveball has been particularly effective.
Almost again.
And this is a big learning curve too for young guys. You made your out pitch, guy fouled it off. Now it's okay. Now what do I want to do? And am I able to execute an out pitch again?
Popped up. Dansby drifts out, says he's got it near the line, and Newcomb is out of the first inning. 3 outs, a hit, and only 10 pitches. He's off to a good start. Let's see what the Braves can do in the bottom of the first. tomahawk, and he leads the first chop tonight after Sean Newcomb gets the Phillies out in the top of the first inning. Once again, congratulations to one of baseball's newest Hall of Famers. Here's the Atlanta Toyota starting nine. Enciarte, Phillips, and Freeman. Markakis fourth, Flowers fifth, Matt Adams, Ozzie Albies, Dansby Swanson back in there hitting eighth, and Sean Newcomb ninth. Jared Eichhoff is the Phillies pitcher. He's 2-7 so far this year.
2-7, but last 5 starts he's been pretty good. 2-0 with a 3.5 ERA since returning from the DL with back problems. So he's going to look to try and continue that.
He's got a real good curveball. Fastball is in the low 90s, but a real good hook is typically his out pitch. Out of Evansville, Indiana, 6'4", 250. We got over 500 pounds of pitchers tonight.
Ender's got a 13-game hitting streak working and fouls the first one off at the plate. And strike one. Ender at 297 for the year, 8 homers, 40 knocked in. 16 hits for Ender over those 13 games. And he tried to bunt and fouled it away quickly. 0-2. Brian Snitker and Pete McCannon squaring off in the managerial chairs tonight again. Braves start play at 51-60. The Phillies 41-69. And Ender is down swinging to start the game. 1 up, 1 down.
Ender now just 3 for 20 against Eichhoff. He's had a lot of trouble with that hook.
So's everybody else. The league hitting $153 against his curveball. League hitting 163 when they get to 2 strikes. So he finishes guys off, fellas, when he gets ahead.
Yeah, it's really been his out pitch when he gets to 2 strikes, and certainly been effective with it.
Brandon Phillips, the batter. He's 4 for 8 against Eichhoff. Had a hit last night. Takes a strike. Brandon's hit came in the 8th inning. It was an infield hit. Atlanta had trouble hitting Zach Eflin last evening. He gave up 2 runs, 7 hits in 7 innings and earned his first win of the season.
I guess the Phillies weren't too impressed with it, though.
Yeah, he also earned a ticket.
Yeah.
To Lehigh Valley.
There's a base hit for Brandon with 1 out. That's got to make you feel great. Your first win of the year. Congratulations, son. Go put on that Iron Pigs uniform and we'll call you when we need you.
Yeah, good news and bad news. Great job. Great win, and you're going back to Lehigh Valley.
Brandon keeps up his good work against the Phillies, hitting almost 400 against their pitching staff this year. And that brings up Freddie Freeman, who had a long home run here in the first inning last night. 21st long ball of the year. And he didn't get that one. Strike one. Tonight is game number 112 on the championship schedule. 50 regular season games left after tonight. Freddie Freeman is tonight's Zaxby's indescribably good player.
His average holding at 316. Braves put a run on the board early last night with Freddie's home run in the first, but they couldn't add to it. Eflin really settled in. Be nice to get some on the board again tonight.
Freddie took a shot at left field, fought it off. Nice catch by a fan down below us to our left. Pretty sure he's from Johns Creek. Excellent fielding fans in Johns Creek.
Yeah, they really are.
A lot of polo gear out there too.
Yeah, that's true. One ball, 2 strikes, runner goes, and fell back to the screen. I was going to say the Johns Creek fans are good fielders because of all the errant tee shots that Tommy hits.
Used to, not anymore.
Oh, really? Got that fixed, huh?
Well, you know, some days.
Nicely done. Phillips at first, shift on for Freeman. He's got the whole left side of the diamond to play with.
Yeah, unfortunately, Freddie had 2 strikes on him and had to protect on that pitch because Brandon could have stood up going into second base for a steal. Got a huge jump.
Another step on the lead, not going, and Freeman chased and is struck out. So 2 swinging strikeouts of Inciarte and Freddie Freeman. That brings up Nick Markakis.
This didn't go up the ladder. This went out the window. Kept getting a little wider and wider on Freddie till he couldn't reach it.
Yeah, that's almost like Freddie sees it's going to be a breaking ball and he's swinging to it coming back over the plate, but it was a backup curveball and it never came.
Nick Markakis at 278 for the year, 6 homers, 54 driven in. He's knocked in 10 runs this year against the Phillies.
That backup slider or curveball would be a great weapon if you knew when it was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you'd always talk about it as pitchers, and man, if you could ever do that on purpose, but you can't.
That's to the screen and out of play. No balls and a strike. Braves are off tomorrow. We will fly to St. Louis for a weekend series with the Cardinals. Then we head to Colorado. Phillies go home and play the Mets. 0-1. Runner goes. Rupp's throw is on the money and in time. And that takes care of Brandon Phillips and the Braves. 2 strikeouts and a caught stealing sends us to the top of the 2nd inning. Eichhoff and Newcomb off to good starts. No score after 1.
Wednesday Night Braves baseball on Fox Sports Southeast is presented by Chevrolet.
Joe Tom and Chip with you from SunTrust Park. We head to the top of the second inning. Beautiful night, no score. Joseph Williams and Rupp are coming up for the fighting Phillies. Newcomb threw 10 pitches in his first inning of work. One of those 10 pitches was hit with the right field corner by Odubel Herrera for a triple. He, however, was left stranded in the first inning. Strike one to Tommy Joseph. High fly ball toward left. Adams has room and makes the two-handed catch. So Joseph flies out. That's how the second inning starts. There's a little bit of a breeze here tonight.
Yeah, blowing in from left field.
Like seeing the two-handed catch. So here's Williams. Nick had a couple of hits, including an RBI last night. He's playing right field for the Phils. What do you guys think of their outfield with Williams and Herrera? We'll see Perkins a little bit later on. We saw Nava last night. Of course, their mainstay is Aaron Altair, who's been hurt.
They've got a lot of pop in the outfield with those young guys.
Yeah, I mean, outfield, infield, they're starting 8, so to speak. I like them. There's some talent there. To me, there's some guys that have some pretty big upsides.
I really like Altair.
In for a strike. It's 1-2 for Williams. Last year, the Phillies were at or near the bottom in offensive production by their outfield. That was even with Odubel Herrera having a solid year. It certainly has changed this year, and more reinforcements to come as Williams got hit in the back with a 1-2 pitch.
Frustration on the face there of Sean Newcomb, too.
So Cameron Rupp is the Phillies catcher. He's hitting 7th tonight. Rupp's only hitting to 2 double plays. One here, however, would be welcome. He's batting .236 for the year.
Well, I like it down there. At 93 at the bottom of the zone's nice.
Say he can do that. He can stand on the mound and tell them it's coming. They're not going to do anything with it.
So 2 good live fastballs. Let's see what they come up with. 0-2 here. Looks like another one.
Wouldn't mind seeing him double up on that. One ball, 2 strikes. Williams a good lead at first.
Rupp spoiled that pitch to stay alive. Rupp figures to get some extended playing time as the Phillies starting catcher. We told you about Andrew Knapp having a bruised hand yesterday. Well, they did a little more investigative work. Actually has a fracture in that hand, so he's going to be out for a while. He was the other Phillies catcher. So Jorge Alfaro will get an extended look as he's been brought up from AAA. And a swing and a miss takes care of Rupp. First strikeout for Newcomb. Good live fastball took care of the Phillies catcher. 2 outs.
Missed his spot a little bit, but I think set up by the curveball before it starts kind of in the same plane, and maybe the hitter sees curveball and goes after it, and it's fastball by him.
Came out of his hand nicely.
This is Cameron Perkins out of Purdue University.
Tom, was it hard for you to learn that when you got ahead in the count and you had 2 strikes on the hitter that you didn't have to throw a strike to get an out? Did it take a while?
It takes a while because you're geared towards throwing everything for strikes. You know, so that concept of, well, wait a minute, I'm going to throw this pitch and intentionally not throw it for a strike, that was a little foreign. And it took, you know, it takes some time. I remember vividly the conversation I had with Ted Simmons one day about it, and it was exactly that. I know this guy's looking for this pitch, and I didn't want to throw it because I knew he was looking for it, and he just looked at me and said, well, throw it for a ball. And I was like, what? You know, so I didn't understand that whole concept of expanding the strike zone when you had 2 strikes on a hitter. So it takes some time.
So here we have a 2-0 count, and now it's 3-0 to Perkins hitting 8th with the pitcher batting 9th here.
But see, that's another thing too. Like we talk about practicing that high fastball. I don't know if guys necessarily think about practicing that, because you throw your bullpen sessions, you're trying to throw strikes.
Newcomb didn't give Perkins much to hit there. Pitched around him to get to Eichhoff, and the Phillies pitcher comes up with 2 on and 2 out now.
See, that 2 right there is one of those things that he's going to have to learn. He's going to have to get better at. You got 2 outs in an inning, and you got your 8th place hitter up. You got to get that guy out. You can't let them flip their lineup with a walk, particularly in that situation. You got to get that 8th place hitter out.
That happened to Julio twice last night. In the 2nd inning, he got 2 quick outs. Then he walked a batter, gave up a base hit. Remember, made the throwing error on that swinging bunt hit by Rupp. So that cleared the pitcher, and Eflin grounded out sharply. 2 innings later, an intentional walk was required to get Rupp out of the way to get to Eflin, and he got a base hit and drove in a run.
The real killer in the inning too, the hit batsman on a 1-2 count. You take care of Williams, you get Rupp, the inning's over, you go 8-9-1 the next inning. Pop fly foul by Eichhoff. He's down to his last strike in the Phillies' 2nd.
Yeah, that's managing the lineup from your side, and it also plays right into what we always talk about in today's game is efficiency. You know, you've put yourself in a position now where not only are you having to make some stressful pitches, you're having to make more pitches.
Missed the corner. 2-2. Williams at second, Perkins at first, no score. And somehow Eichhoff fought that off.
That was an example of the get off me swing.
Yeah, emergency hack.
So we'll try it again. And it's put in play out toward Albies. He's got it. And his throw to first is in plenty of time. The Phillies threaten, don't score. 21 pitches for Newcomb in the 2nd.
Braves baseball is brought to you by your local Toyota dealer. Let's go places. And SunTrust.
Time for the bottom of the second inning. No score between the Braves and the Phillies tonight. MLB.com at bat, your #1 mobile app for live Braves baseball. Stay connected with a fully customizable experience. Get Braves home screen icons and app features, as well as game day, live game video highlights, radio broadcasts, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat today. See a lot of smiling parents at the ballpark tonight. Can't imagine why.
I can.
School is back in session. What a nice crowd on a nice night tonight here in Atlanta. Next time we'll see you back at SunTrust Park will be after our visit to Colorado and the Rockies. The Braves will host the Cincinnati Reds on the 18th, 19th, and 20th. Start of a long 3-team homestand. Cincinnati, Seattle, and the Rockies will be back. So hope you'll make your plans to join us in late August. Nick Markakis was in the batter's box when Brandon Phillips was thrown out in the first inning trying to steal second base, so he'll get a new set of strikes here against Jared Eichhoff. Inside corner strike. High fly ball hammered toward the Braves bullpen. That ball is going to get down and bounce into the bullpen. A leadoff double for Nick Markakis.
We put a good swing on this. A pitch about letter high.
Right, threw it right where the glove was.
That's right. Sure did. Probably won't try that again.
No.
Good start to the inning.
27 doubles for Nick, who's had 38 doubles in each of his 2 years so far with the Braves. Tyler Flowers hits with a man in scoring position, nobody out. If there was one stat that drove you crazy about the Braves series up in Philadelphia, it was a situation like this. There were a bunch of them. Braves were 6 for 40 with runners in scoring position and left 38 men on base up at Citizens Bank Park. Tyler Flowers, the first chance to improve those numbers. He's knocked in 37 runs. And that'll bounce into the Phillies dugout. 1-2. We'll do it again.
Ronnie Washington over there in foul territory. About 50 feet away. in harm's way.
So Tyler is ready again with a 1-2 pitch, and he didn't get the breaking ball. What a devastating pitch that has been already in the game. That's 3 strikeouts for Eichhoff.
Works just like a changeup too. It's such a slow curve. That was in a beautiful spot too. His last start against the Angels went 6 innings, another no decision, 3 runs. He did walk 4, which is a high number for him, and struck out 5. Gave up a home run to Mike Trout in the first inning.
Upstairs to Matt Adams. Eichhoff wasn't particularly efficient in those first 2 innings against the Angels. He needed 59 pitches to work 2 frames. As this one's tapped back to the mound, he checks the runner back to second. Braves are 0 for 2 with a runner in scoring position as Adams rolls back to the mound. Albies is coming up.
We saw enough of those comebackers last night.
Yeah.
Caught a glimpse of Matt Kemp there in the dugout tonight, and he was out early doing a lot of running drills and appeared to be running pretty well. Maybe he'll be back soon.
Matt's had 3 separate hamstring issues. 2 of them have required time on the disabled list. He was placed on the DL July 29th.
It was one of the drills running around the perimeter of the infield. There's another one I liked. That when he was first starting, he was running sprints to first base, but he was doing them at about, I would say, probably 3/4 speed. But then once he hit the bag at first, then he was supposed to accelerate through the bag and finish up out on the grass, testing it, I guess, to the extent that you might have to running the bases.
I'm just glad you added the infield part when you said he was running around the perimeter. I had horrible visions of Pascual Perez there for a second. Yeah, we lost Matt somewhere around Stone Mountain.
Yeah, if he's running around the perimeter, his hammy would hurt. That's a long run.
But it'll be good to have him back, especially with that journey to Colorado coming up. 1 ball, 1 strike for Ozzie Albies. This one's lifted toward left. Perkins over near the stands and at the line runs out of real estate.
We also had some video of Matt on this drill at first, about 3/4, and then pick up speed once he crossed the bag, or the cone in this case. That looks good. Didn't seem to be favoring anything.
One ball, 2 strikes. Here it is, and rolled out of play. Hamstrings are a tricky thing, and this time of year, that's the last thing you want to see any player suffer through. Take a long time to heal. The Cubs lost one of their key players today with a hamstring. Wilson Contreras pulled up late in San Francisco and had to be helped off the field today, as the Giants beat the Cubs 3-1 out at AT&T Park. 1-2 pitch lifted toward left. Perkins will have a play on this one, and
he's got it, and the Braves waste a leadoff double by Nick Markakis. Atlanta's 0 for 3 with a runner in scoring position so far, and we remain scoreless. Time for a live look in from our Xfinity cam. Plenty of action inside the chop house in right field.
Always is.
And now Newcomb's ready to start his second trip through the Phillies lineup. Hernandez, Galvis, and Adubel Herrera coming up. 2 weak ground balls got the night started for Mr. Newcomb. And this one misses low. Ball 1.
There are a lot of pitchers that we know can throw hard, and Sean certainly can, but sometimes that real happy zone in terms of being able to locate may not be your maximum speed. It might be where he is right now at 92 or 93.
No, for sure. Yeah, take a little off, locate a little bit better, have some reserved in your tank when you want to bump it up a notch.
Oh,
like that one.
full count for Cesar Hernandez, and a swing and a miss. Got him to chase that ball. Second strikeout. Good start to the third inning. 1 away.
3-2 changeup too, I think.
He was.
Good one.
Man after your own heart, huh?
Yep.
Freddie Galvis bounced out to second his first time up. Lined into center on an 0-1 pitch. So that's the second hit for the Phillies. It's their 4th base runner.
Another changeup. Pretty good pitch.
Yeah, it was. I think he was looking for it. Because he waited back nicely on that pitch. It was in a good spot.
So here's the human rain delay, Odubel Herrera.
Hard to get on him when he's raking like he is right now.
He tripled on the first pitch he saw tonight. Didn't get that one though for a strike. He's making the point of the home run being the talk of baseball. It was 0.73 feet off the ground when he hit it. So a little more than 6 inches off the ground, and he hit it almost 400 feet out of the park and right. This was ridiculously impressive.
It's weird because of how it just disappeared. You're looking for it to go into Kurt's glove or in the dirt, and it's going into the chop house instead. Galvis had a stolen base last night. He's up to 10.
One ball, one strike. Scorched again. This one's headed for the gap in right center, and that's big trouble. Galvis around second, headed for third. He's going to get waved home. Herrera's around second. He's chugging for 3, and he's going to have a second triple. Ball got away from Brandon Phillips, and streaking home will be Herrera. And if that stands, it's 2-0.
That was another low pitch. Now it wasn't 6 inches off the ground, but it was low, and he just barreled it out front. Change up again.
Yeah, it's like that low pitch. He just flips his hands and gets the head of the bat on the ball, and it just jumps.
It'll be the first error, I believe, for Albies.
So that bounced away, and Herrera scored easily, and the Phillies lead 2-0. So 13 of Herrera's 44 RBIs have come against the Braves. Franco popped out to Dansby Swanson his first time up. The pitch. Tommy Joseph waits on deck. Popped up right side. Freeman, Albies, Markakis. It'll be the Braves right fielder making the play.
Sometimes for a young fielder, in this case Albies, you haven't got that many games in the big leagues, and there's a play where the guy's going to third, and you don't want to concede the base, but you need to. And the more you play, the more you realize the speed of this game and what people can do. There are some unnecessary throws.
Joseph flied out to Adams in left to start the second inning. Ball 1. Dansby at short. Fields and fires, and that retires the side. 2 runs, 2 hits, a throwing error. And after 2.5, the Phillies have struck first.
We head to the bottom of the third inning. Dansby Swanson set to lead off for the Braves. He told me the last 4 days in Gwinnett have been the best he have felt all year, and that it all started with a conversation with his mom. She suggested that warming up for the game, he swings all left-handed to help change his perspective. So that Sunday in Charlotte, he did just that, and he actually went 2 for 3 that night with a home run. And he told me that swinging left-handed helped him get a better understanding of what he needs to do at the plate, because his left-handed swing is so natural and it's never been manipulated. And he also said it helped him with his sense of balance at the dish. So Joe, he's now incorporated taking left-handed cuts in the cage before every game into his daily routine.
That's pretty cool. That might be something a lot of hitting coaches begin to adopt if he comes back up here swinging more naturally.
Had a good cut at that first pitch, but didn't get it. No balls and a strike. Dansby played 11 games at Gwinnett, including 2 games at second base. He hit .237 in that AAA stint. At the big league level, he's hitting .213 with 6 homers. A cue shot. And the shovel to first is just in time to retire Swanson. There's out number 1. Now bring up Sean Newcomb, the Atlanta pitcher.
Looking for his first big league hit.
Here it comes.
Where's he going to hit it?
Left center field.
Okay.
Oh, that was the pitch.
Had to swing for it too. Getting closer.
Well, unfortunately, I think he's going to see that curveball now. And most of the hitters have not done so well against it. So,
no, especially the lefties.
Kick save to the shortstop. Throw to first is not in time. Well, he did hit it to left center on the infield, but that still counts. Newcomb's got his first hit.
Oh, he would have never heard the end of it if he got thrown out on that play.
Oh, that was going to play by Eichhoff. What a regroup there by Galvis. How excited everybody is in the dugout too.
Dansby the first one up. Love it. Here's Ender. He jumps the first one, drives it to center. Herrera drifts back, but the park's big enough to hold that. And 2 are out.
He dropped it, but the umpires are saying he had it long enough.
James Hoyer was the third base umpire that went out to make sure he caught it cleanly.
You know, it used to be you had to make that transfer to the throwing hand cleanly. But that was pretty obvious he did catch it.
Two outs. Brandon Phillips the batter. Hits are even at 3 apiece. The Phillies lead where it counts, 2-0. Tell you what, Cameron Rupp's pretty impressive behind the plate. I can't remember, Joe and Tom, a ball that's gotten behind him when he's caught this Phillies staff.
And he's pretty agile for a guy his size, 260 pounds.
Unless he blocks out that whole brick wall back there.
Two and one. Brandon Phillips faces a 2-2 pitch from Jared Eichhoff, part of this Phillies staff that's been on a pretty impressive roll. A sub-4 ERA by their starters since June 3rd, 7th best starters ERA in the major leagues in that stretch.
Yeah, they've really come around thanks to just getting some innings.
The 2-2 is hammered down the line, foul. That's really part of the plan for the Phillies, a big part of it. A lot of their deals, like the deals the Braves made, were to acquire young, talented starting pitching. Some of it has blossomed the way they had hoped. Some of it has actually regressed in some fashion, including the man on the mound tonight, Eichhoff, who was an 11-game winner last year. This year he's 2-7. 2-2. And Phillips tries to bloop one into shallow right, but Cesar Hernandez was up to the challenge. He makes the catch, and that retires the side. Sean Newcomb picks up his first big league hit. That is all for Atlanta. We head to the fourth.
Atlanta Braves baseball is brought to you by your local Ford dealer and the Georgia Lottery.
2-0 Phillies after 3 innings of play here at SunTrust Park.
Hey, it's Caney's. Gretchen's dad, Rex. His wife, Janie. Boy, they got good seats.
Yeah, they do.
How'd that happen?
Wow.
I don't know.
Perfect night for a ball game here in Atlanta tonight. Now we got to find a way to get some runs against the Titans. Sean Newcomb gave up a couple his last turn out there. And he's got Williams, Rupp, and Perkins coming up as we've completed 3 innings. Is his fastball quick, sneaky quick, or just flat out fast? I mean, that was clocked at 90 miles an hour.
I think it can be a little bit of both. I mean, he's got a pretty, to me, pretty easy delivery. You know, I don't know if he's intentionally backing off on some, or if he's throwing some two-seamers and some four-seamers, which will give you a natural built-in change of speeds. But I mean, I like the fact that he can throw it 92, 93, and then 96.
In the air toward center, and slicing toward left center. Williams is retired.
Plus, I think anytime a guy's got a nice smooth delivery like Sean's, and it comes out of his hand like that, it's deceptively fast.
Cameron Rupp struck out his first time up. And way off the plate. 1 ball, no strikes. One of the keys for Newcomb tonight was efficiency. 55 pitches with 1 out in the 4th inning. Remember, he threw 110 pitches in 4 2/3 innings against LA. Phillips had it roll up into the heel of his glove, but he stayed with it and made the play. Nicely done. 2 outs.
I don't know why I'm impressed with the way Brandon's playing third base. I mean, he's been such a terrific defensive player his whole career, but he'd never played third base, with the exception maybe 1 game in Double-A ball or something. But I'm really impressed with his mobility over there, probably more than anything.
You know, even when Freddie Freeman went over there, it almost became, for me at least, a non-issue that he was playing third base. He made all the plays. Had a couple of errors over there, but it wasn't
glaring,
obvious that he was out of position. So that man deserves a lot of credit. Ron Washington has worked tirelessly, not just with Phillips and Freeman, but all the Braves infielders, to improve their glove work.
Well, I like what Kelsey said last night, that after 1 day of work, Brandon wanted to work some more, and Ron said, "No, you got it."
Perkins smacks one out of play, foul. 2 balls and a strike. Mentioned Perkins is from Purdue, another homegrown Philly, drafted in the 6th round a couple of years ago. And unlike some of the more notable players in their system, Cousins and Hoskins, for example, this guy's an average hitter, meaning he's going to hit 280, 290. At least that's what he hit last year for him in the minor leagues. Not a lot of power, though, for Cameron Perkins, who hit 8 homers in 117 games last year. And he swings and misses. There's an impressive frame for Newcomb. 3 up, 3 down. Freddie Freeman will lead off for the Braves in the 4th inning. It's a manageable game. 2-0 Philadelphia in the homestand finale tonight. turn that around here in the 4th inning. And we love to put pretty girls on TV. Braves fans, join us at SunTrust Park Friday, August 25th. Get your very own Freddie Freeman bobblehead presented by Xfinity. First 20,000 fans at SunTrust Park will walk away with a Freddie Freeman giveaway. Go to Braves.com/tickets and get your seats today. August 25th will be a Friday night against the Colorado Rockies. That'll be a great night. Freeman bobblehead night, Colorado, and fireworks.
How about those games that week when the Braves come home where it's going to be Players Week? They're going to be able to wear uniforms that were, I guess, designed by the players pretty much from Little League days, and they can have whatever they want on the back in terms of a nickname.
Really?
Yeah.
One ball, one strike.
I saw a glimpse of some of the nicknames chosen by some of the players, and for Freeman, he chose Freddie.
All 30 teams will wear bright colored jerseys with contrasting sleeves. The jerseys will be pullovers, no buttons. New set of bright colored caps, which features slight modifications to the logos or new logos that have never been on the caps before. The Phillies, for example, will wear one that features a blue Liberty Bell on the front of
That'd be cool.
their uniform cap. So it'll be history league wide, but it'll also be history making for the New York Yankees. They're the only team among the major North American pro sports leagues whose players have never worn their names on their jerseys until that weekend. And Freeman swings and misses. Eichhoff continues to throw that strikeout ball at Atlanta. That's 4 tonight in 3 1/3 innings. He's gotten Freddie twice.
And a lot of breaking balls to Freddie, everything away. Little slider there, but it didn't do much.
Backup slider again.
Now the backs of the jerseys for Players Weekend. The players have been encouraged to, but they're not required to, wear nicknames instead of their last names on the uniform back. My favorite of all of them that I saw so far, as Markakis digs in, was Kyle Seager in Seattle, who wanted to put Corey Seager's brother on the back of his shirt, but there wasn't enough space to make that happen. In a way, that's kind of a throwback to when Ted Turner owned the Braves. One year the Braves had their nicknames on the back of their uniforms. So much so that Andy Messersmith was asked to have the nickname Channel because he wore number 17. And every time he took the mound, Ted was advertising the Superstation during the game. Off speed, and more off speed. Back-to-back strikeouts. Markakis is the second out of the inning.
Kind of went slower and slowest on Nick, and then bounced this one off the plate. Really nice block by Rupp.
So here's Tyler Flowers, bases empty, 2 out. One more note on the uniforms. There will be 2 new logo patches on the sides of the uniform sleeves. In progressive order, it will show the Little League Baseball logo culminating in the Major League Baseball logo. As this one's deep in the hole at short. Galvis sliding stop. Long throw, the scoop, and it pops out of the glove of Joseph. Flowers an infield hit. Great play by Galvis. Long throw, and Tyler's aboard.
Look, and he covers some ground. think Tyler was going to beat this out anyway, but couldn't get his foot under him to plant and throw. It didn't get much on it.
Yeah, by weight kind of going away from him, trying to make that throw back across, just didn't get much on it. Still a great play, though.
That opens the door for the Braves to tie it with one swing of the bat right here. Matt Adams is up with 2 outs. That's apparently going to have Big City as his nickname on the back of his player's weekend shirt. And this one grounded to the right side. Scoop, fire, inning over.
I think Tom, if he was out there, he'd probably go with Nature Boy.
Woo! Eichhoff stealing. He shut out the Braves through 4. It's the 5th inning. That means it's brought to you by Audi. Newcomb's going to start the 5th inning with Eichhoff, Hernandez, and Freddie Galvis. Braves have 4 hits. They've been struck out 5 times in the first 4 innings by Mr. Eichhoff. Both runs for the Phillies scored in the 3rd inning. A triple by Herrera brought home Freddie Galvis, and then he scored on a throwing error to make it 2-zip. "61 pitches through 4 innings. And out of play, fouls, strike 1. Oh, Mickey Morandini couldn't make that play at first base. A rare miscue by the fine Phillies first base coach.
And a nice play last night. That one not so much.
Now the 1-2. Struck him out inside corner. Good sequence. Back-to-back strikeouts for Newcomb. This one starts off the Phillies' 5th. Tommy, we were up in Philadelphia and we had a great story from Kelsey about the Braves major league record for most cheesesteaks consumed during a 4-game series. The Braves have a gigantic lead over every other major league team in that regard. Did you partake of the cheesesteaks when you were in the visitors clubhouse up there?
Oh my God, yes.
Really?
Yes. You have to. I mean, there's nothing like it. I mean, I don't know what they do with them, but I mean, it's just, you don't eat outside of the clubhouse. I mean, you walk out of there after 3 days and it's just like, you just feel like a blob walking out of the clubhouse, but man, it's worth every bite.
Well, have you had the cheesesteaks here at the ballpark?
I have not.
You have not?
No.
Well, maybe tonight's the night that our pals at Delaware North will come through for us. They have a brisket cheesesteak at the ballpark that will knock your socks off.
It sure will. It's outstanding.
I'm waiting.
So if our friends are listening, as this one's cracked toward the gap in right center, Markakis can't get it. Ender backed up the play beautifully. Here comes his throw to second. It is dropped by Dansby. Hernandez at second with 1 out.
I thought Nick was on this for a second. Seemed to get a good jump on it.
He lost it.
Looked like he might have.
Yeah. As I was with you, I thought he was all over it, and then it just kind of that weird reaction at the end. And looking at that replay, it looked like he just lost it.
So Hernandez with a 15th double is in scoring position for Freddie Galvis, who singled and scored the first run of the night. That's outside. Ball 1. Fouled right back. So what was your record for cheesesteaks?
Oh, man, I'm going to say in a 3-game series there was probably at least 6.
Really?
Yeah, 2 a day. Yeah, easily.
God.
You know, you may be onto something here, Chip. With the team going 0-7 up there this year.
That could be.
Yeah.
Well, 1 ball, 1 strike. And driven toward right. Long run Nick headed toward the corner. Won't get it. That's going to bounce off the brick wall. Here comes Hernandez around third. And he's going to score without a throw from Freeman. And the Phillies extend their lead to 3-0. Back-to-back doubles in the 5th.
We've been talking about Herrera, who's coming up next, of course. But these 2 guys at the top of their order are wearing the Braves out, too. If it's not one, it's the other, and this time it's both.
That's back-to-back hitters where he tried to go in with his fastball and missed out over the plate, and it did some damage.
Top 3 hitters in this series have 11 hits in 2 games against the Braves. The 4 hitters for the Phillies, Herrera, Hernandez, Galvis, and Altair, had 24 hits and scored 14 runs up in Philadelphia. So if you want to know why the Phillies are handling the Braves so well, that's a pretty good barometer right there. A strike to Herrera, 0-1. Two triples for Odubel Herrera tonight.
He came into the game hitting 35 points higher against left-handed pitching than he did right. 307 against lefties. Let's see what Sean does here. 0-2 against a hot hitter.
bad as he looked on that curveball, be hard pressed not to go back to it, but better throw and just as good.
0-2. Herrera with a 16-game hitting streak against the Braves dating back to last year. It's the longest hitting streak by a Philly since Ryan Howard hit safely in 19 in a row against Atlanta from September 4th, 2007 to September 17th, 2008. And it's even more impressive. He scored a run and collected a hit in 10 games in a row coming into tonight's action. He's already extended that to 11 straight.
Well, he's got a very odd stance. That's pretty obvious, with that right foot wide open and kind of laid over. But the bottom line is that left foot is way up on the plate. So when he comes back, when he steps back into the plate, when he comes back in, he is right on top of home plate. Nice stop. He's strong. He's got a quick bat. We've seen that already. So he's just basically saying you can't throw a ball by me inside.
Particularly down.
Right, where he can drop the barrel.
Right. I don't know if they can get too above his hands.
He went around and Herrera chased a bad ball and is struck out. That'll help. Two outs.
That's something, Tom, that he hasn't been doing enough, in my opinion, and that's throwing the breaking ball down and away to lefties, as opposed to trying to throw it at them and drop it into the plate.
Yep. No, I mean, you're right. I mean, and that's you know, it's a little bit less room for error when you're trying to throw it at front elbow. A lot more room out there.
Franco's popped up twice, so he's 0 for 2 so far. And quickly down a strike.
We've seen that happen a lot from Michael, his helmet flying off on a swing. Head moving a lot. Another good stop by Tyler.
To the left side. Phillips played that one perfectly and fires to first in time. That retires the side, but not before the Phillies pick up back-to-back doubles and their third run of the game. Braves, and it all starts with the Friday night showdown on Fox Sports South. Friday's coverage starts at 7:30 as the Braves battle the Cardinals in St. Louis. It's the Friday night showdown presented by Kaiser Permanente. Finally have the pitching matchups, Joe, set for that series in St. Louis.
Boy, a great one there for Friday night on the showdown. Mike Fultonevich against Adam Wainwright. Adam's 11-5. Saturday night, it'll be Lucas Sims against Carlos Martinez, who's 8-9. R.A. Dickey will pitch Sunday afternoon against Michael Wacha, who is 9-4.
And the Braves will be facing a Cardinal team that is suddenly creeping back into the central race. An easy play at first for Joseph, takes care of Ozzie Albies. 1 pitch and 1 out. The Cubs lost today. Milwaukee is in Miller Park and losing to the Twins 2-0. St. Louis is in a 3-2 game at Busch Stadium in the 2nd inning with Kansas City. If the Cardinals can win tonight, they'd be a game and a half out of first place all of a sudden.
Yeah, they've done it pretty quietly too.
Here's Dansby Swanson 0 for 1 in his return from AAA. A little roller down the first baseline that Eichhoff fielded and fired to first.
When you're throwing your other pitches for strikes, like his breaking ball or his slider or his changeup, it's amazing how many times a guy like Eichhoff will get away with throwing a first pitch 89-mile-an-hour fastball down the middle, because everybody got hitters looking for everything else.
I don't know why you go up there and look for a breaking ball anyway, to be honest with you. I mean, I never understood why guys go up and look for a pitcher's out pitch early in the count. I wouldn't want to deal with that until I had to.
Right.
Look for a fastball you can put in play.
Popped up, shallow center. Herrera comes streaking in. He's going to get there. And just like that, 2 outs in the Braves' 5th inning.
The only time I would do that would be to go up against a left-handed pitcher, like I was talking about with Newcomb, a guy who had a good curveball and liked to throw it to left-handed hitters, and I just would look for it, thinking he's going to do me a favor if he throws one in the inner half.
So Eichhoff has Newcomb in the box. He's looking for a 1-2-3 inning and turn things back over to his offense in the 6th. Phillies 3, Braves zip. And 2-2.
Yeah, he can make quick work right here and have a short inning and get Newcomb right back out there, who had a long top half of the inning.
Did he go? He did not. Eichhoff ready for his 65th pitch. And he has not had much stress. Most of it in the 2nd inning when the Braves had a leadoff double and couldn't bring it home. Check swing fouled away. It stays 1-2. Braves have 3 runs, 16 hits for the last 22 2/3 innings. Going back to the finale against Miami. Urania, Eflin, and now Eichhoff. And that's the inning. 3 up, 3 down. We are through 5 in game 2. Eichhoff leading Sean Newcomb and the Braves 3-0.
Take a look at our Chevy game summary. Only one walk for Sean Newcomb tonight as he heads back out there for the 6th inning. I talked to him earlier yesterday about what's been working for him, and he said besides getting the time here in the big leagues, he's really benefiting between starts and observing guys like Mike Fultonevich, R.A. Dickey, with how they prepare and how they compete. He specifically pointed out how R.A. Dickey gets upset with himself if he doesn't pitch into the 7th inning. But he also said that he's made a slight mechanical adjustment. So in his words, he said he's working on staying online through the zone and not spinning off. So we have Tom Glavine in the booth, and when you have Tom Glavine in the booth, you take advantage of it. So Glav, can you explain to us a little bit more of what exactly he means by that?
Yeah, I think basically what he's talking about is one of two things. You want to keep your front side going towards your target for as long as you can. Now, for some guys, it's that front foot. If they land and they spin out, that kind of causes their upper body to go. Most of the time, it's that front shoulder. You think of that front shoulder as the scope on a gun. That's your aiming point. That's kind of where you're going. You want to keep that front shoulder, that glove side, on target as long as you can. And when guys fly, that front side goes and your arm drags and it's hard to get to your location. So what will happen is when a guy's trying to go inside, if that front side flies, a lot of times he'll either pull the pitch or he'll leave it over the plate. Same for trying to go away. Most of the time when a guy's front side flies, the pitch is way outside or up.
And much more hittable.
Yes. Yeah, because your arm drags doesn't have near the finish or the action on it that you're trying to get. It ends up being that hanging lazy breaking ball or that lazy hanging fastball that ends up out over the plate somewhere.
2-1 to Joseph, and blown away, ball 3.
Big spot right here. Come back and get this guy. Don't walk the leadoff hitter already trailing by 3.
High fly ball toward Adams in left, drifting to the track, twirling, and got to a spot and made the play.
Made a nice recovery. Matt did. Turned the wrong way, but got himself in a good position.
Yeah, anytime you see a guy do that, where he's got to kind of turn around and come back the other way, you're waiting for something bad. But you're right, that was a good recovery, good play.
Yep. That turn and backpedaling is not a good thing.
Here's Nick Williams. He was hit by a pitch and he's flied out. We're almost remiss in not mentioning Matt Adams and his willingness to go to the outfield to get playing time. With the Freddie Freeman to third base experiment over, with Matt Kemp hurt, that's where Adams is going to get the bulk of his playing time, either that or as a pinch hitter.
Ask and you shall receive.
Boy, oh boy.
What they say.
Delaware North guys came through so big. Awesome. Back toward the middle. Dansby, nice play behind the bag. Got Nick Williams. 2 outs.
Showing you his good range here. Short hop. Nice play. First test tonight. There is nothing wrong with that young man, that part of that young man's game.
No, he's played great defense, even in spite of or despite of his offensive struggles at times.
Here's Rupp, 2 outs. Swing and a miss. Still a very manageable game. And the Braves will have the right guys coming up in the 6th inning. 1, 2, and 3 on the lineup card. Rupp digs in. Here it is. And it just missed outside.
I'll give this to Sean. His demeanor is really good. The look on his face is no different right now than it was the day that he walked 7 against the Dodgers. He was still focused, concentrating, still had good body language.
That sounds like another left-hander we used to enjoy pitching. Did you take that as a point of pride?
Oh, not Avery?
Oh, I thought you were talking about Dave too. Yeah,
that's just so beautiful.
Couldn't help it.
Uh-huh.
No, absolutely. I wanted it to appear that I was under control, even if I wasn't. Like I knew it. Like, you know, if things weren't going right, I wanted to give the appearance that I still had it under control, and if it wasn't quite right, it was close. I didn't want those guys in the other dugout thinking, all right, we got him. He doesn't have it tonight.
Full count pitch coming for Cameron Rupp. And a swing and a miss. How about that frame? A couple of good defensive efforts and a strikeout. That's 6 for Newcomb. Top of the order coming up. And it's Tom Glavine's cheesesteak experience coming up when we return. Was a little 8-year-old kid in Billerica, Massachusetts when Christmas came, but look at his face as he sees these gorgeous cheesesteaks from our friends at Delaware North.
Well, I'm going to just ask for forgiveness ahead of time because my mother told me don't speak with your mouth full. So this, you know, you might not hear a lot of expert analysis the rest of the way here, so we'll see.
Yeah, this is spectacular.
It will be a treat.
Yeah, these are beef brisket cheesesteaks with peppers and onions, and the folks at Delaware North do such a great job for the fans here and for us as well.
Look at that bad boy there.
Thing.
Look at that thing. See, that's pretty good.
Now you ate 6 cheesesteaks. That's your personal record. In
the ones in the stadium up there aren't that big. They're more of a little bit more compact and not all the dressing, so a little less to it.
We'll get to work. Let us
I
know
will.
what
Don't you worry.
As the Braves will try to get to work with Ender and Ciarte. Brandon Phillips and Freddie Freeman. Eichhoff has pitched to beauty. He struck out 6. He scattered 4 hits. And Ender hits another one in the air. This one to shallow right. And Nick Williams will have plenty of room. He makes the play. And Ender, as Joe said, uncharacteristically has really had trouble against Eichhoff and the Phillies this year.
Yeah, he's 3 for 22 against him. And trying to extend his hitting streak that's at 13 games. The thing about his hitting streak that's curious is that in 13 games, I think he had 16 hits. So he's kind of doing it in a real pedestrian type of way, but salvaging a hit to keep it going.
Well, he should have another at bat tonight. Let's hope it's sooner rather than later. Brandon Phillips 1 for 2. He singled in the first, was thrown out trying to steal.
It's not often you hit in 13 straight games and your average drop.
He's been over 300 almost all year, but ended now at 295. Line to center. Herrera is there and has it. Braves are hitting the ball hard, but they're hitting it at people, and to make it even more frustrating, they're getting retired early in the count.
They sure are.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of them are going up there thinking they don't want to get to that 2-strike count where Eichhoff has been so good, and see that curveball, trying to get something they can put in play early.
Braves bullpen is busy. We'll see if Newcomb goes back out for the 7th.
One of the highlights last night in the disappointing outcome was Max Fried made his big league debut. A couple of innings, a 2-hit ball, picked up his first big league strikeout as well. Always fun to see a young man pitch for the first time in the show and get his first strike, first strikeout, first scoreless inning out of the way.
Yeah. And his dad at least did make it through the weekend. We were talking about that.
Oh, good.
And he was here. His brother was here. Mom went home. I met his dad last night in the tunnel. He was thrilled.
The 2-0 pitch. And Freddie rifles that one into the right center field gap. Williams cuts it off. And Freddie singles with 2 outs. That gives him a 4-game hitting streak.
There's that low pitch you were talking about earlier, Tom, that's down and in where the hitter can drop the barrel on it. Wasn't a bad pitch, it didn't appear.
Yeah, no, that's out of the strike zone. It's just good hitting.
Nick Markakis doubled in the 2nd and was stranded, struck out swinging in the 4th. That's taken low. 1 ball, no strikes. We hope the Braves can solve the Phillies tonight somehow. And it has 3 more games with them on the road at the end of the month. And then the Phillies are back here in late September. They've already clinched the season series with the Braves. And the real oddity is that the Phillies at this point, if they win this game, will have 11 victories against the Braves among their 42 wins this year. You have to go all the way back to 1953 to find out that a team won 25% of its games against one opponent in a year. Driven toward right. Williams won't get that. That's off the wall. Freddie on his way to third base. Ron Washington's going to give him a late stop sign. The throw is going to come back to third, and Freeman's going to be in a rundown. And Freddie in no man's land is tagged out, and that's the inning. It's a double from Markakis, but a late stop sign is what got Freeman as he rounded third base. And Atlanta's out of luck in the 6th inning as Freeman's run down between third and the plate. They threw behind the runner. Great play by Michael Franco, and Rupp with the 3rd out.
Off the board with a nice defensive play here, and it started with Williams in right. Watch him play it off the wall perfectly. Now watch Ronnie Washington at the bottom of your screen waving Freddie and then trying to stop him, but he can't get back in time. That was well done by the Phillies fundamentally, and put Freddie away. Cal Franco had to go up the ladder to get it, but a nice play by Williams in right field started all that. Normally a double off the wall, you figure the guy's going to score with 2 outs from first base. Phillies weren't going to let that happen.
So the Braves come up empty in the 6th inning despite 2 hits. And now it will be Jose Ramirez on to pitch for Sean Newcomb, who went 6 innings, allowing 3 runs tonight. You talk about a man that's in a groove. That man is Jose Ramirez. High fly ball by Perkins toward left. Adams going back to the warning track, makes the adjustment and drops the ball. Perkins on his way to third base, and he's going to stand there with nobody out. 3-base error.
Ran a long way, checked the fence, and now realizes he had overrun it and couldn't squeeze it. Does not have that much time in left field, and sometimes it shows. Trying to keep his bat in the lineup. See if Jose can somehow pitch around it.
Well, as well as he has pitched, you like his chances, even with a man at third and nobody out. His great work over the last 16 games is our Georgia Lottery jackpot.
Almost 11 strikeouts per 9.
So the official line for Newcomb. "96 pitches in 6 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts." And a swing and a miss by Eichhoff. He's the first out of the inning for the Phillies. He'll head back to the bench, and the top of the order is coming up. So, Tommy, your first look at Newcomb live, your impressions of his outing tonight.
I mean, there's a lot there to like. I mean, you know, mechanically very sound, pretty easy delivery, easy to repeat. You know, his stuff obviously is there. It's just a matter of, you know, harnessing a little bit more and learning how to sequence it a little bit more. And I thought tonight, you know, he talked about being aggressive and getting back in the zone, and he certainly did that. So a lot to feel good about tonight.
I thought he made a lot of quality pitches when he needed to. I thought he made some quality pitches that got hit, including the double by Herrera that drove in the run in the 3rd inning.
You know, I just like where he talked about working ahead more. It wasn't like we were talking about where it's just a fastball down the middle. He attacked with his fastball, but he attacked on both sides of the plate early in the count.
Well, for a kid who threw 110 pitches in 4 2/3 innings against the Dodgers and walked 7 guys, 1 walk, 96 pitches in 6 innings and only 5 hits.
Big improvement.
You bet.
And that's what you want to see. You want to see that bounce back. You want to see those improvements. You obviously want to win, but it's not completely about that.
Line towards center. Ender charges. There's the catch. And Perkins was unable to get back to the bag fast enough to try to tag up and score.
Base running mistake. He might have had a chance to score if he had gone back to tag up on contact, but he didn't. He broke to the plate. So that's a break for Atlanta and a chance again for Ramirez to get out of this. I'm sure you stand there at third base. Juan Samuel said tag up on anything in the air, and he didn't.
One ball, no strikes for Freddie Galvis. And fouled back and out of play. It's 1-1.
Hernandez has got a streak on the line too, doesn't he, of reaching twice in a game, like
he does.
10 straight games or something.
It is 10 in a row, longest by a Philly since Shane Victorino in 2011.
He's been on once tonight. He might get another at bat.
If he does it again tonight, he'll be the 6th Philly in the last 25 years to reach safely multiple times in 11 straight. Darren Dalton, Placido Polanco, Bobby Abreu, Jimmy Rollins, and Lenny Dykstra. For the others, and an awkward swing there, and he missed it. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Good changeup. That's really helped him against left-handed hitters.
And Galvis might have hurt his knee after that swing.
Kind of got his rolled his ankle a little bit. May have twisted his knee some.
Now the 2-2. Line toward left center. Adams is there. He's got it. What a job by Ramirez to pitch around a 3-base error to start the inning. We head to the 7th inning stretch. It's 3-zip.
We're 3-0 here in the middle of the 7th. Yesterday, during our Xfinity game break, we showed you that Charlie Blackmon had hit a home run in the top of the 1st inning in the Rockies game at Cleveland. Well, today Blackmon was back at it. This time, it was at the end of the game. His solo shot in the 12th inning turned out to be the difference as the Rockies topped the Tribe today by a score of 3-2. We'll see the Rockies next week. We'll have much more on the Rocks and the upcoming road trip in about 3 outs. Chip, Joe, and Tom.
All righty, Jerome, thank you very much. Charlie Blackmon, 3rd in the National League in average. He's in the top 10 in homers. He has the most multi-hit games in the National League. He scored the most runs, has the most hits, most total bases, most triples. He's 3rd in slugging percentage.
That was the epitome of the description when we say oftentimes swing hard in case you hit it. He did, and he did.
Why is he not talked about in the same realm as Daniel Murphy and Justin Turner and Bryce Harper in the National League.
He should be.
It's the Colorado effect.
And he's doing all that out of the leadoff spot.
So we'll get our fill of Charlie Blackmon 4 days at Coors Field. And when you take care of Blackmon, you got to worry about Story and Arenado and a whole host of others. LeMahieu, yeah.
Colorado. It's not often you're 15, 16 games over 500 and you're 15, 16 games behind the leader in your division.
And that's the truth.
Dodgers rattled off, what, 44 out of 50, something crazy like that. Something that hadn't been done in 105 years. As Tyler Flowers pokes one into left field, a leadoff single for Atlanta. And Tyler continues his good work. And he's our SunTrust Confidence Player of the game.
Last 12 starts, 325 average, 7 driven in, 2 hits tonight. And hopefully the start of some good things here in the 7th inning. These are the Braves innings.
Braves have scored 193 runs from the 7th inning on. Adams drives one toward Williams in right, and shy of the track. He handles that. Again, an out early in the count. Here's Albies. He's 0 for 2. If just joining us and you haven't seen Ozzie play, the correct pronunciation of his last name is Albies, not Albies. That's how his family pronounces it, so that's what we'll go with. And upstairs, 1 ball, no strikes. Haven't had a chance to see Albies and Swanson work in tandem on a double play ball yet. The Braves are very excited about that potential tandem up the middle for the Braves organization.
You know, isn't it interesting how our feelings are skewed a little bit? This is something we've talked about for a couple of years, having these two guys play together at the big league level, and yet it's happening because of the injury to Camargo, so it puts a big damper on it.
Sure does. And the circumstances which Johan got hurt. You never want to see anybody get hurt, but running the bases or sliding or getting hit by a pitch, something like that, is probably a whole lot more acceptable than just seeing him trip over the chalk line trying to get onto the field last night. But if you're looking for a silver lining, it could have been a whole lot worse for Johan. As that one's corked toward Williams in right again, and he lost it. Flowers around second. He's on his way to third. The throw's going to come into second, and everybody's safe. What's going on in right field tonight? Markakis may have lost one. Williams did lose one and put the glove up to his head to protect himself. And everybody's safe.
Wonder where it hit him. It was hit hard, I know that. And like Nick going to his right, oh, it got him right on the leg. Blame him a bit for covering up right on the kneecap.
Ow.
So there's a gift. Let's see if Dansby and company can cash it in. Dansby is 0 for 2. Boy, a knock here would make things very interesting. He had a duck under that pitch that didn't break. 1 ball, no strikes.
Credit Albies with a double.
It's the first in his career. Eichhoff at 87 pitches. very little stress. He's got some now. Had some in the bottom of the 6th inning as well. The 1-0. Ramos and Adam Morgan. Morgan's the lefty. Pitcher's spot due next for Atlanta. Dansby Swanson with 2 on, 1 out.
Think about taking this guy to right center. He's used all of his off-speed pitches tonight, and if you're going to give up part of the plate, give up the inner half here at this stage of the count at 1-1. And if the best you can do is hit a ground ball to the right side and get a run in, you also get a guy to third.
Line to third, and no throw by Michael Franco.
Goodness. That shades of Dansby Swanson from the beginning of the year when he was hitting in such tough luck.
If Franco was anywhere else, it'd be a single and the Braves would be a run down. No such luck though, as Danny Santana will come on and hit for Ramirez. Worked a scoreless 7th inning.
That's some heads up base running by both Albies and Flowers.
Danny Santana, the 2nd highest number of pinch hit appearances for the Braves. This is his 28th. He's knocked in 8 runs in a pinch. He's got a homer too. One of those would tie it up. And he just took low, ball 1. He's got 5 hits and 14 tries against the Phillies, including a triple and 2 doubles. Either one of those would work. And with no foul at the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike. Didn't mean to. There's a tough break. It's 1-2.
Doubled up on the curveball. And it's so slow that it's easy to get out on your front foot and leave the bat out there.
Well, it's been his out pitch all night long. See if he triples up.
Pete McCannon's letting his young right-hander try to grow up in this game. 2 on, 2 out, 3 runs scored. Hot shot, base hit right field. The Braves are going to be down a run. Santana comes through with a clutch 2 out, 2 strike pinch hit. It's a 3-2 game.
He tried it, Tommy. 1 too many.
One of the few hangers he's thrown all night. That one just did not have the finish on it that the rest of them had.
So Eichhoff was brilliant through 5 innings. The Braves touched him for 2 hits in the 6th, 3 hits here in the 7th, and have scored their first 2 runs. Atlanta doing what it always does, giving the fans a finish. 2 more 7th inning runs makes it a 1-run game.
Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. And by Delta Airlines.
Well, as my partner likes to say, we got a Wago. As Danny Santana comes through with a big hit with 2 outs against Jared Eichhoff, who is really terrific in tonight's ball game. But he hung a breaking ball. Santana didn't miss it. And the Braves cash in a couple of runs. And now hope for similar luck against left-hander Adam Morgan, a man they've seen a lot.
A lot. Starting and relieving. Out of Kell High School out in Marietta. Went to the University of Alabama. A 6 ERA, however, so far this year. 93 to 96 fastball. Slider and a change.
Might recall Ender Inciarte was briefly a member of the Phillies. They took him in the Rule 5 draft. Ender 6 for 11 against Morgan in his career.
He pitched twice against the Braves up in Philadelphia. Game 1, 2/3 of an inning, 3 hits, a walk and a run. And then in the last game, an inning and a hit and a run, and that was a home run by Freddie Freeman.
At some point, Adam, you have to make a pitch. Montreal, they used to put the chickens on the scoreboard. Yeah. Runner goes, pitch low, Rupp's throw on line, and not in time.
How about that jump after 4 straight throws over? Quick crossover step. Able to hang on to the base.
And Galvis with a drop. Ball looked to almost short hop the second base bag. So now a hit could tie it up. $22,776 in attendance tonight. Haven't seen the electronic chop yet. Made him throw a strike. If Morgan loses Ender here, you have Phillips next. See what Pete McCannon decides to do.
Yeah, I would guess that would end the night for Morgan.
But he's battled back to a full count. Swing and a miss. He came back from a 3-0 count and got entered to chase a sweeping slider, and that ends the inning. But the Braves make a game of it. 2 runs on 3 hits. Before we go to the 8th inning, let's check in with Jerome Jurinovich for tonight's big story. Jerome?
Okay, thank you, Chip. The big story is after today, the Braves pack their bags and head out on the road. We're going to have a very interesting road trip here. 3 out in St. Louis, your old stomping grounds there, BJ. The Cardinals,
it is.
Since June 25th, their 24 wins are second in baseball behind only the Dodgers. We're catching them, the Redbirds, red hot right now. And then we're making it on over to Denver for 4 with the Colorado Rockies. Their 21st come from behind win today when they beat the Indians in 12 on Blackman's home run. They are still very much right in the thick of it, BJ. They're tied with Arizona right now as I speak atop the wild card. And of course that depends on how the D-backs and the Dodgers game fares out a little bit later on tonight. But there you have it. 2 teams that are playing great baseball, Brian.
You know what, Tommy fam? The Cardinals brought them up early in the season after sending them down. This kid has really stepped up for the Cardinals, and he's really changed everything in St. Louis by being a home run hitter. He's driving in runs, and that is a hot team right now. But the Colorado Rockies, how about Charlie Blackmon, Arenado? 2 guys, to me, that are candidates for MVPs this year. They're that good. So it's not going to be an easy road trip for the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, Blackmon, Arenado. Don't forget about DJ LeMahieu.
That's
All
right.
3 of those guys are in the top 8 in hitting. The Cardinals, they don't have anybody in the top 25 in home runs, RBI, or batting average, but they still get it done.
Yes,
it is
they do.
absolutely amazing. And they're only 2 back in the Central. Everyone's counting them out. Don't count them out. They're only 2 back of Chicago and Milwaukee. All right, let's get you back out to Chip, Joe, and Tom.
Okay, fellas, thank you very much. Excellent summary of what's ahead for the Braves. Still some work to be done tonight against the Phillies. Great to see Joe and Tommy. The Braves get a big hit from Danny Santana to make it a 3-2 game here tonight.
BJ's right about Tommy Pham. Remember, he got called up here early in the year and tore the Braves up with a couple of home runs here at SunTrust Park and was a difference maker in that series. So we know all about Tommy Pham.
Yeah, it should be an interesting road trip for sure. Like I say, St. Louis playing well in the thick of things in their division, and Colorado is never an easy road trip, so it'll be a good test for these guys.
Pretty amazing story. Tommy Pham, he has a degenerative eye condition called keratoconus. He's actually had surgery to prevent erosion, further erosion of his eyesight. And he has a constant battle on almost a day-to-day basis to try to find contact lenses that allow him to see properly, much less hit a baseball. So he is really a remarkable and inspirational story for the Cardinals, a story that we'll tell you more about when we get to St. Louis this weekend. In the meantime, Jim Johnson's on for Atlanta. He'll face Herrera, Franco, and Tommy Joseph. Jim's first misses upstairs to a double Herrera, 1 ball, no strikes.
That was a terrific comeback. You mentioned it, Chip, of Morgan on Inciarte with the tying run at second.
One ball, no strikes. And a bouncing ball toward first. Little revenge for Jim Johnson. Herrera took him out of the ballpark in Philly. This time he grounds out to start the 8th inning. 1 down. Tell you what, the Braves bullpen this month has been just terrific. A 1.88 ERA so far in the month of August. That has been welcome relief for Brian Snitker. It has more to do with health and results and deeper starts by the starting pitchers. All goes hand in hand. Jim Johnson struggles up in Philly. Braves took him out of the closer's role. Now he's working as a setup guy. We'll see how that works out for him here over the next several days. No strike.
You know, to me, it's kind of a domino thing. Teams work so hard to try to protect the arms of their starting pitchers, and it starts in the minor leagues. And you see in the minor leagues, a guy had a good outing and he only went 5 innings. So they're almost groomed to pitch half a game. So in doing so, the next domino that falls is what kind of bullpen do you have? And how many innings do you expect them to pitch each night?
Dansby got the big hop. Franco's retired, 2 out. We talk all the time, Joe, about super utility players. I wonder if we're going to see or are seeing the dawn of the age of the super utility pitcher like Andrew Miller of Cleveland, who can come in and get the big left-hand hitter out, but can also work 2 or 3 innings.
I'll tell you what, it's one thing for Andrew Miller to do what he did in the postseason, particularly in the World Series. I don't know how somebody lasts with that workload over the course of a year.
I don't either.
I don't think it has this year. I think Miller's currently on the disabled list for Cleveland.
Yeah, and I think you can get away with that in the postseason over the course of, 8 or 9 days in the World Series. Certainly, you kind of suck it up and do whatever you got to do, but yeah, not over a full year.
Tommy Joseph, bases empty, 2 outs in the 8th. He's 0 for 3. Sharply hit. Phillips almost knocked down with that blast to third. And Joseph thrown out to retire the side. Good inning for Jim Johnson. 3 ground outs. And the right guys are coming up at the right time. How many times do you see it? Man makes a fine play defensively. He leads off the next inning. That's the fate of Brandon Phillips. He'll start the Atlanta 8th next.
Wednesday night Braves baseball on Fox Sports Southeast is presented by Chevrolet.
Time for the bottom of the 8th inning. Braves are trying to make another thrilling late inning comeback at home tonight. 2 runs in the 7th. They have been the comeback kids. We've said they don't always win, but they always fight to the finish.
Well, half of the 10 wins for the Phillies this year against the Braves have been 1-run wins. So these late inning heroics by the Braves are very crucial. Game tonight, they're down a run. And from the 7th inning on, 195 runs. That's the most in the National League. Maybe they can add to it.
To do so, though, they've got to face Edubre Ramos for the Phillies. Eichhoff started. Morgan got Inciarte to strike out. Now Ramos will face Phillips, Freeman, and Nick Markakis.
Ramos, a lot of sliders, and when he's not throwing sliders, he can mix in 93 to 96.
Joseph at first makes the play, and Phillips retired for the first down. Here's Freddie. Here's where it gets fun. One swing of the bat could get it tied. And Buchanan is going to play matchup the rest of the way. He's got back-to-back left-hand hitters facing his bullpen. And it's going to be Hobie Milner who's given Freeman fits. One out in the 8th inning, nobody aboard. 3-2 Phillies. Post-game concert on Saturday, August 19th, when the Braves take on the Reds. Break out your parachute pants and get your field passes for just $10 today. Go to Braves.com/MCHammer and be a part of the party. Freddie Freeman coming up for Atlanta. Hobie Milner is on to pitch for the Phillies.
And Freddie is 0 for 4 against him with 2 strikeouts. Side armor, sinker ball, and a big sweeping breaking ball. Last night when he pitched to Freddie, he was pounding him with fastballs up and in, you might remember, which was a complete 180-degree change from the way he had pitched him before.
One mistake could get this thing tied up. And Freddie shoots one down the left field line, but that ball is slicing into the stands. And that young man made a nice catch. 0-1.
Trying real hard to stay back and lay off that breaking pitch. That's what they did all night last night. Got him to ground out eventually.
One, two. Lifted high in the air to left. Perkins drifts back, but now in a step or three. And he handles Freeman's pop up for out number 2. And here's a spot where not having Matt Kemp is apparent in the late innings. Ordinarily, the Braves have their lineup stacked lefty, righty, all the way up and down 1 through 8. With Kemp's injury, they've tried a couple of different guys hitting fourth behind Freddie Freeman, Nick Markakis included. Nick's had a good night tonight, but the luxury for Pete Buchanan is he can stick with Milner for back-to-back left-hand hitters here. And a play foul.
You're right, Chip, and in a close game like this, if you're alternating left-right, you can burn through a team's bullpen real fast. Nick is 0 for 3 against him with a strikeout.
That's upstairs. 1 ball and 1 strike. Ripped to right, but that'll 1-hop to the ball boy.
He was right on that.
So it's 2-2. Let's see what Rupp wants. Here it is. Flowers waits on deck. You know, he's got home run power too. Phillies have used 3 pitchers to get the last 3 outs. Milner trying to get a second out and end the inning. The payoff.
Milner's fastball is not overpowering except in this regard. It's 88, 89. But when you've got to really cover that outside corner, this guy with that breaking pitch, it begins to get a lot faster.
Yeah, it might as well be 93, 94 when you're trying to cover that slow curveball.
Driven towards center. Herrera on the run, slowing, however, and plenty room to make the catch. And Milner gets Freeman and Markakis to fly out and end the 8th inning. To the fateful 9th we go. Phillies by a run.
Top of the 9th inning, the Braves trying to do another late inning comeback. They really turn it up a notch in these late innings. And down in the minor leagues, it's being turned up a notch down there. So let's check that out with our T-Mobile Unlimited Baseball break. Over in Gwinnett, get ready for this, you guys. Ronald Acuna, in his last 10 games, he's hitting .450, a .352 average overall in AAA. Andrew Alber's last 7 starts, 5-0 with a .095 ERA with 45 strikeouts. In Florida, Anthony Seymour hit safely in 9 of his last 10. Tuki Toussaint in his last 5 starts, 31 innings and a 2.03 ERA with 42 strikeouts. So we continue to give you all this good information from the minor leagues because there's so much good information to give you guys.
Well, and Tuki Toussaint has pitched so well, Kelsey, that he's been called up to AA, moved up to Mississippi, so good for him. You're right about Acuna. He just keeps tearing it up. And Albers, how about those numbers?
Pretty good at any level.
Yeah.
Keep winning. The rest will take care of itself. As Nick Williams leads off against Arodys Vizcaíno in the 9th inning. Braves are using their closer here. Trying to shut him down and hope Atlanta can walk it off in the 9th. Williams 0 for 2. He's been hit by a pitch. Strokes that one out of play, foul. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Ow. That got a lot of everybody.
Hinged mask might have saved Tyler Flowers some problems.
Oh, square on. Great device, great invention.
The 1-2. Out of play, foul. I understand, mention those crazy uniforms that the players' weekend will entail. Tyler Flowers apparently has some top super secret, colorful, flashy, fancy catcher's gear that he's going to break out.
And it's not that.
I was going to say, more colorful than that?
More colorful than that. So look forward to that as Williams awaits another 1-2 pitch. That missed inside. And really like Chris Siegel and the way he calls a game. He lets you know where the pitch is. So there's absolutely no doubt as to what he's calling. Washington just wrapped up their game with Miami tonight. They beat the Marlins 10-1.
Do you have some other news? A trade today?
Big trade involved the New York Mets, who lost to Texas 5-1 today. Pitch out of play. The Cleveland Indians are loading up. Cleveland, which leads the AL Central by 4 games over Kansas City, just acquired Jay Bruce.
Wow.
It's a dynamite acquisition for them.
Don't know the players going back to New York in that deal. That frees up some outfield playing time. Play by Williams, still 2-2. Again, you can make trades now, but players have to pass through waivers, and there's a complicated process to irrevocable waivers, revocable waivers, and how that whole process works. It's just a lot more complicated, but still can be done. And there's still some big names that are apparently have already passed through the waiver process, including Justin Verlander of the Tigers. The pitch. Williams pops one toward left. Santana into the game, makes the play at the line. Good battle by Williams, but he's the first out the 9th. Braves bullpen has retired 7 straight. The only man that reached was the Phillies left fielder Cameron Perkins. That was on an error. Hector Neris is the Phillies closer. He's getting ready for the 9th. First things first, here's Cameron Rupp, who's 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. He went. Now it's 0-2. Minnesota leading Milwaukee 2-0. That game's in the 7th.
Well, Milwaukee's had a tough stretch of their schedule, playing a lot of contenders.
That's Bartolo Colon pitching for the Twins,
shutting out the Brewers
after a complete game victory his last time out. In the dirt, 1 ball 2 strikes for Rupp. Milwaukee starts play tonight, a game and a half behind the Cubs. They've lost 3 straight. And are 4-11 in their last 15 games on the road. Tonight they're at home and losing. 1 ball 2 strikes. And Rupp is blown away at 98 miles an hour. Boy, a little pause in the leg kick of his kind there might have generated a little extra velocity. That was pretty. 2 outs right there.
Yeah, I see more and more guys doing that. Cueto does it probably more than anybody, but I see more and more guys kind of adding a little bit of different timing or tempo or a little bit different look to their deliveries, trying to throw guys off.
Cameron Perkins is the Phillies left fielder. He's 0 for 2 with a walk. And this one's popped up right side. Freddie Freeman says he's got it. And he does. Excellent relief work again by the Braves bullpen. We go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Tyler Flowers, a pinch hitter, and Ozzie Albies are coming up. It's a 3-2 Phillies game.
The Braves are down just 1 to the Phillies, and we're just 1 2-run home run away from Braves Live, everybody. That's the way to look at it. They call me Mr. Positive, BJ, and I know coming up on the show you would have extolled the virtues of Sean Newcomb. 7 walks his last time out against the Dodgers, just 1 tonight.
Another quality start. He is showing why he is a keeper for this starting rotation. He continues to look good, Jerome, but I'm crossing my fingers. Hopefully we can win this ball game against the Phillies and not go, what, 2-11? Oh my goodness.
Wouldn't be the first time the Braves have rallied for a win late in the game. We'll see if they can do it again. Let's get you back now to the 3 guys that'll call it right now.
Right about that, Jerome. The Braves have 16 last at bat wins this year, and they'll try to make it 17 against Hector Neris, who's looking for his 13th save.
He was sharp last night, struck out 2 of the 3 guys he faced here last night to get the save. That looked a little high.
Yeah.
Flowers, then Jace Peterson, who's grabbed a bat. Looks like he'll hit here in the 9th inning. Then Ozzie Albies. Now an even count. Tyler Flowers looking for his first hit against Mr. Neris. He's 0 for 3 against him. And now down to his last strike. 1-2 your count. Frustrating thing about this Braves-Phillies matchup this year is how one hit, one play could have turned the tide for the Braves. Of the 10 losses so far, 5 of them have been by 1 run. We're in another 1-run game tonight. 1-2 pitch. And out of play.
And remember tonight, too, the play that Freddie got hung up between third and home. That was with 2 outs. It was going to take another hit to score him, but Phillies made a real good relay. Got him hung up and kept the Braves off the board. That was in the 6th.
Strike 3 on a swing and a miss. There's the first out in the 9th.
That's just Powder River right there.
Chase Peterson's got 4 hits in his last 7 at bats, including a home run. And a run of 3 consecutive pinch hits. It dates back to Sunday, August 6th. On July 15th, he hit a home run against the Diamondbacks for his first career pinch hit homer. Number 2 would be nice right here. As that one's off the plate, ball 2. Braves have 6 pinch hit home runs, tied for the most in Major League Baseball. The Padres also have 6 of them. How about a walk and a homer?
Walk would be fine.
Bloop and a blast would be good.
Mentioned the Padres. They've actually played pretty good baseball in the second half. They've won 50 games. Braves have won 51.
Three balls, 1 strike. How about that pitch behind the count?
Yeah, that's confidence.
What does Neris have written on the front of his cap? That's outside. There's the walk.
Well, I would have guessed that it was a tribute to Darren Dalton, but I'm not certain.
Yeah, I don't think so. ACR, I think, are the other letters on the other side of the cap. Not sure who that is. So there's the walk. There's the base runner representing the tying run. Let's see what Albies can do. He doubled and scored his last time up. Almost hit it. 1 ball, no strikes. Neris has not been automatic this year. 12 out of 15. Runner goes, and that one's hammered deep toward right. And way foul.
Good jump by Jace, too. Neris worrying about throwing strikes and really didn't pay him any attention.
Another good lead by Peterson from first, not going. The pitch is tipped and caught.
A little quicker delivery that time. Try and keep Jace from running.
A nice split too.
Now a 1-2 count. Slap toward left. And Perkins will gather that in. So the Braves are down to their final out. And it's Dansby Swanson. If there were any justice in the world, Dansby would get a hit here after he hit a bullet to third with 2 on, 1 out in the 7th. A bullet that was caught by Michael Franco at third base.
Yeah, he's definitely owed one by the baseball gods.
Trying to frame that pitch that was outside. Ball 1.
When Neris uses his normal delivery, not the slide step, he's really slow to the plate. So if Jace has a mind to, if Brian Snitker gives him a green light and picks the right delivery, you're going to have an excellent chance of stealing. And if he were successful and first base open, chances are real good they're not going to pitch her out in Dansby, who just got called up, and risk putting the go-ahead run on.
One ball, no strikes. He chased it, didn't get it.
Split finger pitch is hard to pick up, and the one thing you want him to do is elevate the pitch. You don't want to chase something down low because it's just going to keep getting lower, but it's hard to read. It's close to a balk.
And it was close to a hit batsman too. Dansby got out of the way. 2 balls and a strike. Check of the runner at first. Now Jace leads, and the pitch. Got the corner. Now it's 2-2.
And that's what Neris wanted. He shook off the split and wanted the fastball, and boy, did he paint a corner.
He just did keep the game alive.
This is a split finger pitch. Watch the action on it. Just diving at the plate.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Bouncing ball to short. Galvis has it, and the Phillies have beaten the Braves again. The 6th 1-run loss in the season series. The Braves fall to 2-11, believe it or not, against the Phillies, who have won 11 of their 42 games this year against the Braves this year. Winning pitcher Jared Eichhoff, he's 3-7. Sean Newcomb, the tough luck loss, he's 1-7. Neris picks up the save. Fellas, we lick our wounds and get set for the Cardinals and the Rockies on a very challenging road trip that begins this weekend.
Yeah, unfortunately for Atlanta, they out-hit them 9-5, but couldn't put anything together to have a big inning. And one error certainly played a part in the game with the overthrow.
Yeah, Phillies have had their number. Tonight was no different. This series was no different, but good ball game, well-pitched ball game, Sean Newcomb, and rest up and get ready for a big road trip.
Which starts on Friday against the St. Louis Cardinals at Busch Stadium. Phillies 3, Braves 2. Joe, Tom, and I will recap all the exciting action tonight from SunTrust Park on Braves Live, presented by Xfinity. That follows us after this break here on Fox.